my name's Eva and welcome to this channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to touch a clit because our social discourse around sex has only recently discovered the clitoris. It was only first imaged in 2005, but do we really actually know how to touch one if we encounter one in the wild on our own body? Let's do it. Before we get into the actual tips, I want to talk a little bit about some background, talk about a little bit about clitoral anatomy and why I'm even making this video in the first place. One important thing to kind of start off with this discussion of how does one touch a clit is the idea of homologous anatomy. When we think of anatomy, we think penises and clits and vulvas and vaginas are very different, and penises are easy and clitorises and vulvas and vaginas are mysterious and difficult. But actually, when a small being is developing, both of these kinds of genital anatomy start at the same point and they diverge. Begin with kind of the same parts, they get arranged in different ways. So the homologue for a penis is not actually a vagina, it's the clitoris. So they have similar high density of nerves in them available for pleasure. So if you wouldn't just ignore a penis when getting sexy with someone or with yourself, you probably shouldn't ignore a clit. And from that, it also makes sense that over 70%, 75%, most people with clitorises require clitoral stimulation to reach an orgasm. So it's very important to know how to touch a clit. So the next part of this puzzle in learning how to touch a clitoris is looking at clitoral anatomy. So I'm going to scooch and maybe put a photo here of the internal clitoris. So we often think of the clitoris as a little tiny nub that is on top of someone's vulva. We have the outer labia, inner labia, and then the clit, the urethra, and the vagina is actually a lot more than that. So you see from the photo here that the clitoris actually extends inside the body to have various bulbs that wrap around the vagina. So the clitoris is huge and has over 7,000 nerve endings all throughout that amazing structure, which can be used to provide pleasure. So now we know a little bit about the history, how the clitoris came to be, and also what it actually looks like. Let's get into the tips. How do you actually touch a clitoris so that it feels kind of nice? So my number one tip for touching clitorises is lube. The clitoris does not self-lubricate like a penis. Think getting with the homologues here. Using lube on your hands, just a little bit. Using lube on the clitoris before you touch it, and when you touch it will make everything feel more silky smooth and pleasurable. My second tip is to touch a clitoris softer than you think. So when you go in to touch it, you're gonna do it, dial back your initial instinct. Because the clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings, they're quite densely packed together. So that can lead to a lot of pleasure, but it can also mean that if you touch a clitoris too fast or too rough, it can actually feel so intense that it is painful. A good note is to not touch it directly. So above the clitoris is the clitoral hood, which is a homologue to a foreskin. So you can touch around the hood and use the hood to massage the clitoris. Other kind of options for indirect stimulation of the clitoris, you can rub on either side of the vaginal canal, and that'll be stimulating the big bulbs internal clitoris that I talked about. You can also rub the labia together gently or put pressure on the vulva altogether, and that'll stimulate the internal and external clitoris. Some more specific techniques that you can use, circular motions are good. You can use one finger, two fingers or more to kind of, again, dissipate the sensation. You can use gloves, which can be a way to soften your touch and can feel really cool. If you put lube on gloves, that can be really great. Also, that's just a good safer sex barrier in terms of if you are touching somebody else's fluids, and then take off your glove if you want to touch yourself, so you're not swapping fluids if that's not what you want to do, because that can be a potential way of transmitting STIs. Some really important overall takeaways in terms of touching clitorises, or also touching anybody's genitals or anybody's body in general. You should be making sure that you are communicating. So not everybody's body is going to react the same, and people are going to want different things. So my recommendations about touching softly, that's just your starting point. And then back to how your partner responds. So are they moving towards you or away from you? Are they moaning? Are they relaxing their body? Those are all good signs. And also communicate. O School has a really cool template for a build your orgasm for vulvas, and where you can kind of explicitly talk with your partner, or use a won't, will, won't list, or just kind of ask for feedback throughout, checking in, say, how does this feel? Does this feel good? Do you want me to go harder or softer? Or ask your partner to show you how they like to touch themselves. I know that in general in society, in movies, or whenever we talk about sex, it's very much, there's a pressure on knowing exactly how to do stuff right away without talking about it. But I promise that just saying, like, you're really hot, I want to make this feel good for you, how does that feel? Just practicing that communication and saying it is going to be a lot hotter and create intimacy and excitement more than you think it will. Telling your partner what you want or asking what they want is going to be the quickest way, get rid of a whole bunch of guesswork, to having a really awesome time and touching their clit the way that they want their clit to be touched. That is all I have today for this video on how to touch a clitoris. I have moved, I graduated from my master's. If you want a update video on my master's, let me know in comments if you have specific questions. I'd be more than happy to do that. I have a bunch of really exciting things on the go. If you want to hear more from me on a more regular basis, see what I'm doing, I am posting a lot on Instagram or on Twitter, but Instagram, I'm loving Instagram a lot lately. Thank you so much, everybody, for, I don't know, thank you so much for your support throughout kind of these breaks that I've been having with defending and kind of the after defense process. I really appreciate everyone sticking around and supporting me, even when I don't make the most consistent content. So yeah, if you have any video recommendations, let me know. But yeah, like this video, subscribe if you aren't already, and hit the notification bell so that you do know when I'm posting a video. Hello, it's Eva jumping in from the future, from that video that you just watched, to share a very special announcement. So I have released a sex research newsletter on Patreon. For $3 a month, I'm going to be sharing my all-time favorite sex research papers, as well as some new papers that I'm super duper excited about. So if you are a big sex nerd, which I assume you are because you're watching this channel, check out my Patreon. The link is in the description to come and join me. It is bi-weekly. And the first issue is already out, so if you join me on Patreon, the first issue will be available to you. And we're talking about sex robots and polyamory and porn, and it's just, I'm really excited about it, so I hope you come and join me. Thanks. So yeah, that's all for me today. Have a lovely day. Before we get into the actual tips, like a